Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you certainly know that this is my deep dive into a brilliantly expanding deck called the Egyptian Tarot, and it's produced by the Brotherhood of Light and created by C.C. Zane. And just in case you are new here, let me give you a quick rundown of the process. Every night before I go to bed, I riffle shuffle my mass market color version of the Egyptian Tarot, and I pull a card, a daily draw, for the next day. The question I'm thinking of is, what would I benefit most from giving my attention to the following day? So I pull my daily draw, and then I pull the matching card from my very out of print charcoal gray and white version of the deck. And I look for similarities, I look for differences. Generally, they're almost the same, except one's in color and one's in black and white. Well, charcoal gray and white. And then I ask for help from a second deck, which is my new pattern for deep dives into decks that I'm just beginning to work with. What I do is I use the Tarot of the Holy Light as my helper deck. And that's a deck that about 6 to 7 months ago, I did a deep dive into. And when I dove into that deck, I used the Lightseer's Tarot because it was a deck that I was very familiar with. So now I've wanted to continue working with the Tarot of the Holy Light, and I decided to incorporate it into my deep dive into the Egyptian Tarot. And I do a 3-card spread. 3 cards are: 1, the significance of the daily draw for me for the following day, to help me unpack it. 2, the challenge, either positive or negative. And 3, the advice. So significance, challenge, advice. And then I go to sleep and I wake up and I live my day. And at the end of the day, I come back and I first do an analysis of the cards in more depth, review my day, and then I start this video. And that's what I'm doing now. So, friends, we've got 2 versions of the same daily draw all lined up for you. Let me show you those cards right now. You just saw that I got the 2 of Wands as my daily draw for today. And let me show you those cards again. Here they are once more. What do you see? Well, we've got 2 wands. And when we look at the charcoal gray and white version of the deck, we see that the wands are slightly smaller, but basically they're the same card, except look at the stars. Did you notice the stars when you saw them larger on the screen? Did you notice that this deck, the color one, had many more stars than the black and white or the charcoal gray and white version? Yes, but they're the same constellation. And also you notice that the association for both cards is the same. It's the Leo decanate of Aries, which is the sun. So we have at the top, we have Aries and Leo. At the bottom, we have the sun. So what is this telling us? It's telling us that the 2 of Wands points to the Leo decanate of Aries and its subruler, the sun, which the fixed aspect of cardinal fire's vital attributes enter our world, or enter our natal charts, or enter the question that we're posing to the tarot. Now, the fixed aspect of cardinal fire's attributes are entering the answer to the question of, what would I benefit from giving my attention to in the following day? And if you've been following along, you will know that yesterday I got the 6 of Wands. Yesterday was a very Leonine day. So today, being a recapitulation of Leo in Aries this time, it was interesting, right? An interesting flow. But first, let's get back to that constellation that I mentioned. The name of that constellation is Eridanus. Eridanus. I'm going to say Eridanus. Let me show you that constellation now. So, did you notice that that constellation looked like a river? Did it look like a river to you? Well, the ancients, especially the ancient Greeks, looked at that constellation as a river. And they named it Eridanus. They named it Eridanus, and there is an actual river named Eridanus in Europe. And it is the name of a river god. But there is one myth that is very commonly associated with this river. Not the god necessarily, but the river that the god is named after, and which the stars, the constellation in the sky, seems to be a representative of. One day, one fine day, many, many years ago, in the time of the gods, there was a god named Helios. And Helios is actually a precursor, one of the precursors to the Olympian gods. And Helios has a son named Phaethon. And he also has other children, but Phaethon was a little brat. Yeah, Helios's job was to drive the chariot of the sun across the sky. And Phaethon was, I want to drive it, I want to drive it, I want to drive it, I want to drive it. And Helios said, no, you cannot drive it. No, you cannot drive it. And Phaethon said, I want to drive it, I want to drive it, I want to drive it. And eventually Helios decided, okay, shut up. I'll give you a chance. And so Phaethon gets in the chariot and is unable to control it. Yeah, instead of going across the normal arc of the day, he gets too close to the earth and nearly scorches it, gets too far from the earth and nearly freezes it, and Zeus is freaking pissed off. And Zeus decides to for one thing, first thing he does is he takes Phaethon out of the chariot and basically blasts him with lightning bolts. Now, there are two versions of the story at this point. One is that he blasts him with lightning bolts and his hair gets caught on fire. And so he leaps into the river to put out the fire and dies. The other version is that Zeus pounds him with lightning bolts and he falls into the river and dies. One way or the other. Does he leap into the river or does he fall into the river? Conclusion is the same. He dies in the river. And his father, Helios, is very, very upset. And so we have this river up in the sky, this constellation of a river. So we have the river god, but we also have this as the death place of the sun. Right? Helios, the sun. For hubris, and it's a little bit of an echo of the Icarus story, right? Icarus gets too close to the sun, melts and dies. This one, the kid wants to drive the sun and basically melts and dies, right? So, not the happiest of stories. A lot of the constellations up in the sky for the Greeks didn't have really happy stories, right? So, again, we have the Two of Wands, which is, again, Leo. Well, for the sun is beaming through Leo, its natural association, Leo's room in Aries' house into our lives. And we also have the idea of a complement here. Yeah, because this is the second decadent, we have complements and detriments. The upright is Mars in Taurus. Mars in Taurus. So Mars in Taurus gets to be a little bit more restrained, perhaps. He's not exactly all that happy about it. This is his partner Venus's house. So Taurus is slow. Taurus is plotting. Taurus says, let's not rush things. Taurus says, we're going to do things at my pace. So Mars gets to tame his fiery attitude a little bit in Taurus. So what do we get as significances for the Two of Wands? Well, according to the guidebooks, we have things like business depending on scientific methods. Cool. Watch your interests with vigilance. Obstacles resolved through analysis. So we've got this idea of analysis and scientific method around business and solving problems. Prevent misunderstandings with analysis. Yet another thumbs up for analysis in this card. But we also have things like esteem of coworkers, pleasure in business. We can enjoy the business that we do. Kind of a Tauran thing, right? Promotion at work. That's a nice thing. The sun in, Mars in Taurus can, what's that word? Where you are, you have high goals. You are ambitious. Ambition in work. Also, we have things like success in business ventures, education in business, pioneering a new business, all this business according to the guidebooks. Also bringing order to our personal habits. Yeah, Mars and Taurus, that makes sense. Service for business reasons. Yeah, performing service for the purpose of doing business. And a healthy frame of mind. Always a good thing. So a lot with business, a lot with analysis, a little bit of raising our status, trying out new things. Yeah, twos of wands could be trying out new things, but all of it is primarily for business, according to the guidebooks, which is interesting. And yet we have remember with the constellation there of the river being the deathbed, a riverbed of a deathbed for the son of the sun, we want to be careful of overreaching our natural abilities, I think. I think that's the cautionary tale with that constellation. It's know your limits, or you're going to really mess up. And so those obstacles can be prevented by analysis, which clearly the son of Helios, Phaethon, did not do. So these were interesting things, but even last night when I was thinking about this a little bit, I was thinking, I cannot see how that is going to have anything to do with my day today, then tomorrow. And so, like I said, I asked for help from another deck, from the Tarot of the Holy Light. I've got those cards ready for us right now. You just saw from left to right. Did you notice it? Were you surprised? I got the Two of Wands again in a different deck, only reversed this time. And then we had Death, reversed. And then we had the Six of Wands, right? The Six of Wands, which I got yesterday in the same spot. Upright again. Interesting. Yeah, my daily draw was explained by that same card in a different deck, only reversed. Followed by the challenge of Death reversed, and then the same advice from yesterday. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And so, first, let me show you the Two of Wands from the Tarot of the Holy Light upright. What do we have? We've got this beautiful beaming sun up in the sky. But that sun is beaming a little bit too intensely, right? It's beaming down two lines of energy. One perhaps life-giving and one perhaps destructive. Can you tell which is which? So, the one with that is, now I didn't write this down and I'm going from memory. The one here in red with the green fire, I think that is the destructive one. The one that's light with the yellow fire, I think that is the creative one. Now, the one is burning stuff up. The other is beaming down powerful life energy. And we've got a balance of both of these. And so, no, I think it's the other way around. The other way around. The red here is not destruction, it's the lifeblood. I think it's the lifeblood here, and then this hot white one is the destructive burning one. Anyway, We've got one of life-giving energy and one of the powerful force of heat and burning. So we've got creation, destruction, a good balance upright. In reverse, what do we get? Well, upright or reverse, it's still the same. Leo decadent of Aries with the sun beaming through, which is interesting. Yeah, in 1, 2, and 3, the ace, the 2, and the 3 of all of the suits. Okay, there's a caveat. So the ace, the 2, and the 3 of all of the elements in this deck and this deck all line up perfectly. So the ace of the fire suits, the 2, the 3 of the fire suits will have the same associations in this deck and this deck. When we go into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then the associations are a little bit different in this deck and this deck. But the first 3, the first one is the cardinal, the second one is the first one is the actual sign of the, so it's cardinal, I think. Yeah, it's cardinal. The second one is the fixed of the cardinal. The third one is the mutable of the cardinal. In both of these decks. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So, because of that, this 2 of Wands and this 2 of Wands are pointing to the same attributes. Now, we still have the sun beaming through the Leo house of Aries, bringing the fixed aspect of cardinal fire's attributes into our charts, into the answer to our question. The question this time being, what the heck is up with this card for me? Because that's what this series of 3 cards is answering. But in reverse, instead of being Mars in Taurus, the reverse of this is the detriment, which is Mars in Libra. And here I was in the middle of patting myself on the back, and my camera on my phone turned off because of an incoming call. Sorry. What I was trying to say was, I was patting on myself on the back because I'm now pretty quick, well, not very quick, but still much quicker at being able to calculate things like and now I've forgotten the name of them, in the second decadent, we have the complement and the detriment. Yeah. So it's much easier for me now than before to figure that out in much less time. Instead of me sitting there thinking of, so this would match up with that. So what would that be in the house of? So then the detriment would be over here. And what was that? So this happens much more quickly for me now. So yay me. And again, what was I saying? Yes, 2 of Wands. The detriment is Mars in Libra. And Mars doesn't particularly like being in Libra all that much, but it is the house of his girlfriend. Yeah, so he can get along in a little bit. And what do we get from Mars being in Libra? And the reverse of the sun beaming through the Leo decadent of Aries in reverse. The fixed aspect of cardinal fire's attributes in reverse. Well, first we have things like risk of deadlock. Yeah, risk of deadlock due to working at cross purposes. That kind of push me, pull you kind of a situation where I'm trying to do this and you're trying to do that, and these 2 things are in conflict. It could be equal splits within each one of us, within myself here. Not only external opposition, but internal opposition, where things like optimism and pessimism could be pulling things apart. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of mindsets. It could be a standoff with external limitations as well. Yeah, you're trying to go forward and you run up against a brick wall. Or that there could be the fear that we've taken on too much, which is an interesting echo, right, from the story of the constellation, where the boy who wanted to drive his dad's car, I mean, we're talking about chariots and gods here, but the boy who wanted to drive his dad's car winds up dead in a river. Now, he took on too much. That fear that we might be taking on too much. And so the advice here is to regain our bearings before launching back into action. It's not to just keep beating our head against the wall or against the person who is in opposition to us, but rather take a step back and do a little bit of introspection, a little bit of assessment. Remember the assessment for all of that assessment from the Two of Wands upright is also indicated here in reverse. So we got that. And then for the challenge for us, for me, we had death in reverse. And let me show you this death card upright because it's really interesting. We got a ton of skeletons up there. You see them all in the sky. We've got a body being sucked dry by a serpent in a coffin down there. We see other people. What are they doing? One person is dragging the body of another person over here, right? Yes, over here. This card is rife with images and symbols and meaning. And this is, in this deck, the water card. Now for the majors, this is the card for the element of water. So we have a lot of water entering the answer to this question here as a challenge, which would be a challenge for a lot of the fire in the rest of the cards. I mean, it could be a challenge of attainment, and there is a hint of a challenge for attainment as well, but there's a lot of challenge of obstacle here as indicated when it goes into reverse. So what is death reversed in this deck? A brief quote from the guidebook sounded really good. May be rejected by the pruner's hook. Yeah, when we think of the death card as being the harvester, death as a harvester of souls. In reverse, it could be that we've survived that harvesting, that culling of souls. And so, amazingly, somehow we remain when all others have fallen, or perhaps ascended, but we remain there, steadfast, fairly unscathed. We don't know that we're untouched, but we have not been culled, which could be a good thing, but it could also leave us with survivor's guilt, which is also indicated in this card, reversed. Survivor's guilt. Why am I still here? It could be indicating that a difficulty with letting go of things, which is one thing that I usually think of when I think of death in reverse for a standard RWS, a Smith-Waite deck. That's what I think of first when I see death reversed. It's the inability to let go, inability to move on. Inability to move forward in our lives, clinging to the past. And so the positive challenge is that it's time to surrender, which I think could be a good challenge for this card. Yeah, we were saying to regain bearings before launching back into action. Well, maybe we regain bearings and surrender. Because maybe the reason that we're in this Two of Wands position is because we have been unwilling to let go, unwilling to move on, to move beyond, to move past. And so we have the third card, which we had yesterday. This beautiful, beautiful Six of Wands card with the eagle and the lion both crowned with their beautiful crowns. They look like they're dancing with each other, celebrating perhaps. We got the six discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discs on the sides. We've got two discs, top, bottom, with the eye in the all-seeing eye in a triangle. And what's in the other triangle? Well, there's another triangle with another symbol inside, but that's not all that important. What is important is we have, this looks like a very festive card to me. And the Six of Wands is the Leo decadent of Leo. Yay, Leo! More Leo. So we have the Six of Wands pointing to the Leo decadent of Leo and its sub-ruler, the Sun. Remember that story of Helios, the sun? Yeah, the sun from which the fixed aspect of fixed vital attributes enters our world. So we've had the sun a lot in these cards, right? We had the sun in the Two of Wands both times. We had the sun, Helios, in the story with the constellations. And then we have the sun here in the Six of Wands. We've got a lot of Leo in this reading as well. The Leo decadent of Aries, and here the Leo decadent of Leo as the advice. So what is this telling us? Well, Leo is the fiery heart of the zodiac, you might say. At least that's what I would say, because I'm Leo. Hooray, Leo! The heart, but it's also the sixes are the heart of the tree of life in Tiferet. Yeah, the heart of it, and the sun resides here. It's reminding us to understand self in an environment of dualities. To understand self in an environment of dualities, right? Who are we? What is important to us? How do we evolve? How do we individuate? How do we self-actualize? What is our why for being here? These are the questions that the Six of Wands is asking us to consider, to ponder. How can we learn? How can I learn to reveal my true desires which benefit both myself and my group and society as a whole? And you people who are my people, who are us in the universe. How can I be of benefit both to myself and other, which is really a reflection of me? Because we're all part of the one, the monad. And so we're asked to remember generosity and being the first among equals. Because Leo likes hearing the word first, but still, we're not the first among inferiors, we're the first among other firsts. We are all firsts. We are all the subjective I, here in physical form, of the collective we of the non-physical. That makes sense, yes? So this advice is profound and bears repeating. It bears repeating a second day, especially when encountering these Twos of Wands, which are both upright and reversed. And so what was my day like today? Can you imagine? Does it sound like my day is going to be easy, smooth sailing? Remember last night I was thinking, what's all up with all this business and analysis? What's that got to do with me? When I saw the Two of Wands reverse, I thought, aha. So that was this was this deck's way of giving me a reversal, even though I'm not shuffling reversals into this deck. It allowed the Tarot of the Holy Light to make this a reversal. Because this card here was explaining this card for me, for today. And so it wasn't, I'm sorry, maybe I'm making it sound like it was a horrendous, terribly burdening day, but it wasn't really. But still, I went into the office, and yes, last night I had gotten several packages, and I knew one of those packages was the deck that I've been waiting for, that I've been planning to do a review video for, and so I was I was all geared up to get into my office and do that review video. And I got in, I made coffee, I did some little tasks to wait for the sun to come up completely because it's still winter here. And I depend on a little bit of sunlight through the windows to help light up my videos, even in my office. So to wait for the light to come up, I was puttering around, answering an email, for example, looking at, I had to sign contracts for next semester, I did that. All stuff that seemed okay. We have a chat stream for the foreign faculty at my university, and that chat stream was, as they say, blowing up with questions about the lack of increase in salaries that we are experiencing here. And so a lot of complaints and a lot of complaints and a lot of complaints. And I decided I was not going to engage in that because it would neither be healthy for me or beneficial for me to engage there, especially on this day. So I did not engage with that. Noticed it, let it pass on. Really doesn't make much of a difference to me right now. And I got all set up to do my video, and I took the photos for the thumbnails, and I was all happy, and I got my little new remote for my camera, and I got it all set up, and I started recording, and well, that's where things started going sideways. Things were not coming out of my mouth in coherent English. So I restarted the intro to the video a couple of times, and then I moved on to the the portion of the video with the camera facing down to look at cards. And as I was doing that, and I pulled I used a lot of assistant decks. I pulled out my assistant deck to do a side-by-side with this new deck by Artisan Tarot. I have that review video up already, by the way, if you want to go check that out. I just uploaded it earlier today. So I had that deck pulled out, and I realized that the deck I had pulled out was not the deck I thought it was. And but I thought, okay, I can save this. I continued videoing, and I did a couple of cards with those two decks side by side, and I realized that I really needed a different deck as my helper deck. And so I stopped. And this had been about an hour of shooting that I had already done. And so I needed to stop. I needed to reconsider. What was I just saying? Regain bearings before launching back into action? That's what I had to do. Because what I thought I had was not what I had, and so there hadn't been an obstacle. And so I found the deck that I really should use, and I was debating, should I use both of these decks as side-by-sides? And I thought, yeah, that's good. But then I had to put this deck in order, and I had to put that deck back in order. And it was all of this, not confusion, but work around being able to restart the video. And as I got ready, I realized that now even that beginning sequence that I shot would have to be reshot again, because it now would make no sense. And so it's like, okay, after an hour or more of doing this video, I realized that I was back to square one. I thought, no, stop, have lunch. So I stopped, I had lunch, got my bearings, and I started filming the video again, and there were a couple of false starts, but then I got going. What I decided to do was do the down-facing video first, get the big portion out of the way, and hopefully there would still be enough light so that when I turned the camera back up and shot the intro, it would still look okay. So just between you and me, don't tell anyone that that's how I filmed the video. You can't, I don't think you can tell in the real video that I went back and had to redo it. But nothing about that is faked. It's just I had to recreate what I had done before with different tools, if that makes sense. So my reactions are not fake. They weren't pretend. It's just I had to call on the actor in me to rediscover my, what do we call that? It's suspension of disbelief, but in a different way. where I suspend my memory of what I had already done so I could go back and do it again fresh, like I'd never seen it before. You know? So that's what I did, and that's how my day was. And then downloading the video and doing the editing, and then having that edited version be what do we call it? Be rendered by the editing program, and then by the time it was ready to go up onto YouTube, I had to leave my office or I would miss the bus. So I very quickly got it ready to go up onto YouTube, and then I left my computer on and I left the office and locked up so that I could do other stuff. So I got home, and then I had to do a few errands. I needed to buy stuff for tomorrow's breakfast, and I'm going to be making kimchi, my fusion kimchi, this weekend. I'm almost out, and so I needed stuff, and I'd ordered some stuff, but after I'd ordered it, I got a notification today that one of the items was out of stock. So I'd ordered, paid for it, and it was out of stock. And so, hey, I'm getting a refund, but I need it for the recipe. So after I bought my stuff for tomorrow's breakfast, I went to an organic store near here, got the radish. It was radish that was apparently out of stock. I got the radish, I bought some milk, and then I realized, I'm probably going to start using this organic shop more often, and they've got a membership thing. So I asked if I could join the membership, and they said, sure. All you have to do is register online. And I say, how do I do that? Give me some information. We don't have any information. Well, how do I do that? I'm not psychic. They brought out a laptop and they started doing it with me. And we failed. And it failed again. And it failed again. We spent about 20 minutes trying to get me registered on their site, and it failed. So they're going to call me tomorrow. They're going to talk to the manager, and the manager is apparently going to have all the answers, and that manager is going to call me tomorrow. But then there was that other thing of not being able. It was like today was Mercury retrograde, and I know it's not Mercury retrograde. But yeah, those obstacles, those conflicts and mostly surrounding my interaction with electronics today. Interesting. I don't usually have this kind of day of massive electronic work difficulty in one day, but that's what today was. And I don't feel so bad, really. I'm not frustrated. I'm not angry. Maybe because I was warned ahead of time, I'm not sure. I'm able to let go, and maybe because I've got the death card in reversed, I was able to do some of that. Time to surrender. I mean, I was frustrated certainly around lunchtime this afternoon, but I let that go. And I was able to surrender to the process and enjoy it. Right here. You just saw that, right? My camera turned off mid-video. Twice, actually. I had to restart the video twice because after I turned the video back on and I started talking, less than a minute into it, the same person apparently called me again and my video cut off, so I had to restart that again. So there's another piece of evidence to the Two of Wands, perhaps in reverse. But I surrender it. I was actually glad because the second restart actually, I think, sounded better. And so hopefully is what I'm doing now benefiting the collective? I certainly hope so. And maybe I do want to do a little bit more introspection about why I am doing this, why I am teaching English here in Korea, why I am living here. Not saying that I've made a poor choice, but I think I need to reconnect with my why. And maybe reconnecting with my why will make what I'm doing here more, not important so much, but more meaningful. And hopefully not only more meaningful to me, but more meaningful to the people that I'm interacting with as well. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear from you. Does that make sense? Also, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't yet, so that YouTube knows that you got something out of this and other people might get something out of it as well. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I'm doing, again, one a day until the new moon this month. This month being February. My mouth is getting dry. And what else? Oh, yes. If you want these decks, there are links in the description box below to the Tarot of the Holy Light and, the color version of the Egyptian Tarot. Very, very inexpensive. Go get it. It'll help your practice if you haven't started working astrology. I never thought I would work with astrology and tarot. I thought I was resisting it, kicking at it, trying to claw my way away from it. And now I'm doing it. I'm learning it. I'm trying it. And I think it's helping. I really do think it's helping. And I know that Christine Payne-Towler's advice and help has helped me to develop this much. And hopefully I will continue developing as a reader. And this is helping me, and this has definitely helped me as well. And so I highly recommend these decks. Also, if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. Shoot me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com, and we'll get you a reading. So friends, there we are. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for walking this path with me. And as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.